And even though I spent about an hour trying to research that number, I couldn't find anything, which is very worrying, which means that we even don't document or are not capable of detecting cyber attacks in this country. There's not a published number that tells you how many cyber attacks were carried out in Pakistan or what the loss to economy might have been. We also know that a lot of sensitive data of the government, every software is found on the dark web. And that happens because we can't detect when the attack happens, when that data is stolen or sold on the dark web. This is worrying. This is worrying on many levels for us. We are a country that is blessed with good data. A lot of people don't realize this. But we are one of the handful of countries globally that has a digital national ID associated with a biometric. Very few countries have it. India just started this recently called Aadhaar. Very few countries globally have it, which means that any income, expenditure or asset that you have is actually linked to a national ID. So Pakistan is actually a data-rich country, and we've been data-rich for a long time. This data exists in a digital format. It's linked to a unique ID that can be looked up. We need to put this data to good use, of course, for broadening the tax net, for enhancing national security and so on. But at the same time, we need to protect this data, and we need to develop capacity to protect this data. This data exists in financial institutions, in telecom companies, in any business that you deal with. Increasingly, more and more government departments are getting digitized. Even critical like 1122, land record systems, banking systems, healthcare systems, airline systems, all of these systems are now digitized, and not just digitized but online. There was a time you could secure systems by air gapping them, which meant that you have a digital system running somewhere but air gapped from the world. No one is able to access it online. That's no longer true in this day and age where everything is based on a cloud. And because we don't have large cloud services in Pakistan, most of the times cloud that is sitting outside of Pakistan, it is incredibly important for us to be able to secure our data. It starts with infrastructure, investing in national digital infrastructure. We are beginning to do that. Pakistan needs its own indigenous large data centers where we can physically keep the data inside Pakistan. We need to make sure that these data centers then host hyperscaling services like the Amazon cloud and the Google cloud and so on, so that we can all, as commercial enterprises, also deploy our platforms that are designed on AWS and Google Cloud, etc., on these data centers. And we need to make sure that our capacity is such that we're able to secure not just the storage of data, but the entire data flow. Now, this is non-trivial. This requires quite a bit of training, quite a bit of keeping yourself up to date with what's happening in this domain, and then applying it consistently within the government. In the last few months, we've done 2 or 3 very fundamental things. One, we've begun to invest finally in securing our digital in our digital space or our cyberspace. And this work is a coordination between various agencies and organizations within the government, but that investment has begun to happen. And it's great to see that there is not only now a deployment of a WMS that is up to date, can keep up with the requirements of the modern age cyber warfare, but it also would lead to strengthening the internet architecture of Pakistan, where we have, from what I can tell, hundreds of unregulated CDNs operating in Pakistan. No one's ever looked at the data that comes in or goes out of Pakistan. No one's ever sat down and tried to make it such that we have centralized IXPs, which are easy to maintain, monitor, and make sure that our cyber space is safe from external threats. That exercise has not happened, and it is just beginning to happen in the last few months. In the last few months, we finally have the national cert notified. I don't think it's notified yet, but I'm happy to tell you that it will happen this week, where we have gone back and forth within the government trying to figure out under what law, what rules, etc., we are able to make this happen. But I'm glad that we didn't wait for the government's administrative paraphernalia to get its act together before actually making the cert happen. And therefore, that's great work also. I see good people working in the national cert. I know your leadership. I've met him a few times. He comes from the academia. I think that's great strength that you have, and great to see. And he kept whispering names and capabilities of various team members that we're giving shields to. So great that you were able to assemble a small team of professionals within the national cert. As soon as the national cert is now notified, it will have to go to the cabinet because of various things that we have to go through. This will probably happen either Friday or Wednesday, next Wednesday. So within the next 10 days, we'll have the national cert notified. We'll also create these sectoral certs for various sectors that we have, whether that's financial sector or the telecom sector, etc., subsequently and shortly after that. This would, inshallah, be completed in the next 2 weeks. We would have done the national cert, and we would have done the paperwork around sectoral certs, and we need to quickly establish them. But there are also long forgotten entities within the government. There is the Electronic Accreditation Council. Long forgotten, no one knows where it is. I'm told it is somewhere in NTC. But we need to dig it up. We need to make sure that we make it operational, and it begins to do the accreditation that we really need to be able to do in this country. In most countries, the government wouldn't do certifications. They would do accreditation of private sector companies, which would then go out and do certifications of other entities that must comply with the cybersecurity rules and laws that you have in the country. We haven't gotten to that point yet. So while we are training all these professionals here, eventually they'll all find great jobs in these companies, which would all have a business case as soon as we go into this mode, where the government would begin to do accreditation of certification companies, which would then certify entities in Pakistan, here and abroad. The current scheme of things is such that even if you have to find a consultant for SOC 2 compliance, you have to look outside of Pakistan. So we really need to develop this capacity within the country. It could be a huge source of revenue for Pakistan. IT security is, of course, a huge area with tens of billions of dollars worth of business that happens every year in that area. Some of the largest companies in the world are experts in cybersecurity products. Once we begin to provide these services, we begin to develop these products, I think this would not just help secure our cyberspace in Pakistan, it would also become a huge source of revenue for us. It's great to see that what we've begun to do here is engage young people with their ideas and capability to solve these problems for us. This is a very good start and a very good design. In universities, in most universities that I'm aware of, we don't teach cybersecurity as well as we should. So therefore, this intervention of taking cybersecurity workshops and hands-on trainings to universities is a very good idea. And I see lots of people who've all unanimously said that they benefited from this experience. Maybe quick to point out that these were hands-on workshops. They applauded specifically for the gentleman who was conducting these workshops. These are all good omens. That means that this was a job well done. And they've also said that in the last 3 years, they've seen improvement year on year, and this year they saw a huge improvement in the quality of training that we were able to conduct in universities. How many people did we train this year? Do we know, Asim? 300. 1,600. Well, it will be great if you could double that next year and take it to something like 3,000 people. This is all fodder for IT security companies that eventually will spring up in the country, because we'll create domestic business for them because of certification requirements that we'll bring via the NCERT. And once we bring these certification requirements within the country, we accredit these companies, they should be able to do business here but also globally. So you need lots of trained manpower in this area. It's not easy to train them, and this is a great start. I'm told that some of our talent is beginning to do very well internationally. I was in Saudi, I was told that in the Black Hat Summit, Pakistani hackers actually did very well. Pakistan has this dubious credit of creating the first internet virus in the world. I'm sure most of you know it. This is a kind of forum that should. This is from Brain Internet, two brothers, one of whom I think is on our board also, on the Ignite board or something like this, the Alvi brothers, accidentally, from what I can tell, created the first virus, which is basically a self-replicating program which attaches itself to your master boot record. And they were able to create this many years ago, many years ago, and it's still cited in textbooks. So while you wouldn't find any mention of Pakistan in the computer science textbooks, the only mention you would find is this dubious credit of creating the first internet virus that we created here in Pakistan. But given this, it is also incumbent upon us to now begin to make security products. that protect our cyber security, but also helps us develop products that we could use internationally. I know that the security institutions have been investing in this. We now have capability. We have a cyber command. We have both defensive and offensive capability. It is an area that the country is beginning to strategically invest in. And I hope that some of the people that we train here would then become people that we're able to benefit from. It's great to be here and to be able to see how many people have participated in these competitions, how many shields and checks we gave out. And it's a great idea to also financially reward them. I go to many places where we give out shields. That's not as rewarding as, of course, receiving, 15 lakh rupees worth of an award, which is a great thing to do. It's also good to see that the winners came from three different cities. So we have Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. These were the three winners that we had today. So it seems like a capability we're building across board. It was also a good idea to get their feedback firsthand so I can listen to it. And it seems that this seems to be working out. I hope that we're able to scale this up to about 3,000 individuals next year. And this becomes a year-round exercise for us. That we are able to accelerate the accreditation and the certification schemes in the country through the NCERT.